Hey there, hi there, ho there. It is the Crowcast. I am Karel. So very glad you are joining me on this Wednesday, July 7th. Thank you so much for tuning in. You know, I fear we are all frogs in a pot. I do. I fear that we are frogs in a pot. And every day that I live, every day that I read the news, every day that I look at the world, I used to just think America, but now I really feel the world. I really fear that we are that prophecy of the frog in the pot. And I'll tell you what that means in just a moment. But before we begin, let's begin with something fun. A lot of you have preconceived notions as to why you can't do something. There'll be something that you'll want to do. There'll be something that you wish to do, or something that you know you need to do. But you have some preconceived notion of what it's going to be like, so you don't do it. You're like, no, I could never. I could never because X, Y, Z. And then, of course, X, Y, Z doesn't really happen or isn't the case. But it has to be illustrated to you before you realize this. Now, you know that I believe and that the planet knows that the only way the planet is going to survive is if 80% of us eat 80% less meat. That's just for real. That's not me being pro-vegan. That's not me being pro-plant-based eater. That's not me being anything. That's just me being factual. Okay? 80% of the world must eat 80% less meat if we are going to survive as a species. Again, we'll address that with the frog in the pot thing. But before we address that, something very special is happening in many cities all across the land. And that is the veganization of the world. Restaurants are taking it upon themselves to start adding plant-based items or to become completely plant-based. It's happening more and more. They're tired of the meat waste. They're tired of the disease. They're tired of what they have to go through to keep meat and dairy. So they're switching to non-meat, non-dairy alternatives, of which there are so many. Now, you see this happening in your city, or you will see it happening in your city. It is a growing economy. Plant-based is already making people wealthy in terms of IPOs, that sort of thing. So here in Las Vegas, there is a plant-based renaissance going on. And, you know, a lot of chefs, they start in one city or two cities, and then they branch out, and obviously they become a household name. I have discovered one such chef, and if you are in Las Vegas and you are a plant-based eater, then you already know him. And if you come to town and you're a plant-based eater, you want to go visit him because his reputation among plant-based eaters is huge. Now, if I had a fortune in money, I would invest in this guy because he's going to make a fortune. So he just opened a restaurant that I am very excited about. I waited a year for this restaurant. Because I will tell you, as a plant-based eater, there are some things that I miss. And I don't mean a specific thing like a steak. I mean some styles of food. And one of them was a style of food called dim sum. Now, I don't want to sound classist or elitist here because I realize that there's a whole lot of you who have never had dim sum. But you actually have. You just didn't know it. Dim sum really just means open heart. That's what it means, or from the heart, open heart. It's Chinese. It dates back centuries to the 9th century. And basically it started in Cantonese, or the city of Guangzhou, which is Canton. And it's called dim sum because it was a tea-based meal of small little bite-sized things, dumplings. And, you know, they used pork and they used beef and shrimp if they were near the ocean, as in China, many places are, you know, that sort of thing. So dim sum started back in the 9th or 10th century, and people have been eating it across the globe ever since. Anytime you have a small dumpling or tapas, in Mexican, it's called tapas, small little bites. The Italians have a word for it. Every culture has dim sum, okay? But dim sum is very specific because it started with tea and a small bite. There's what is it? Yum cha. That means two on the side, basically, and that's what it was. It was tea with two little things on the side. Then they decided that people probably wanted more, And so they did dim sum, which was where they come around with a cart, and they have various dumplings and dishes on the cart. And then you choose which ones you want, and they put them on your table, and that's that. Well, ever since I became a plant-based eater, I haven't been able to go. And it gave me great joy every time I went to San Francisco to go to a restaurant there called Yank Sing. It is perhaps the best dim sum in the United States. Michelin agrees with me. They're Michelin star rated. So I love dim sum, and I love the whole, it's to be shared with friends. It's very cultural. It's very people sitting around talking, having small. It's a very fun experience. So I have missed that. Well, Chef Kenny finally opened his dim sum restaurant. And I am telling you right now, this is one of those things where if food was always this way and plant-based, because his dim sum is vegan, we wouldn't be eating meat or dairy in the first place. If you had only ever been introduced to this kind of food, you wouldn't be unhappy with it at all because it was so good. So I recorded just a little bit of what my experience was there, including a quick chat with Chef Kenny, who explained to me, other chefs asked him, why did you do this? Dim sum is hard. Dim sum is hard even without, it being vegan. It's hard to create because the dumplings are perfect. They're perfect. They're beautiful. It's art. It's not just food. It's art. And I love to go someplace and eat where the chef does something that I can't because I'm a good cook. So I went there today, and here is just a little bit and I'm taking you there. I'm showing you this because I want to encourage you all to not only get adventurous with your food, but to become plant-based eaters. I need 80% of you, and that means you, to become a plant-based eater, or my planet is screwed. And that goes right into our topic today as well. But first, let's go to Chef Kenny's dim sum. Come with me. Okay. Ember and I are here at Chef Kenny's Vegan Dim Sum, and we are going to have us some vegan dim sum. Now, dim sum, of course, literally means like open heart. That's what it means. It's from Canton, Guangzhou, which is Canton. It's Cantonese. Dates back to like the 9th, 10th century. And it used to be tea and a small meal. It's traditionally served at breakfast or brunchy times, and it's basically dumplings. And Chef Kenny Chai, one of the best vegan chefs in the world, has opened a restaurant here in Las Vegas of vegan dim sum, and this is our second time here. Let's go check it out. You ready? Let's go. Come on. This concrete's not too hot. I already tested it. You must test the concrete before you put your dog on it. I already tested this concrete. It is not too hot, but I certainly wouldn't let her do it, from pure love time. Okay, so we are inside. We are at Chef Kenny's. And we are here for vegan dim sum, which they keep track of on a little card because you get it off of a cart, or you can, order on the menu, but basically it's on a cart. Now remember, this was more of a brunch thing. It was meant to be with tea and something else, and it's meant to be more of small bites and not, an enormous plate of stuff. So you get to sample a bunch of really good stuff, which is great. Ember is under the table where she loves to be at Chef Kenny's. Chef Kenny is here. He's right over there. Maybe we'll chat with him today. Who knows? Who can say? But we're going to order some dim sum. Here comes my cart. The dim sum cart. So yummy. Hey, I was here first. I was here first. Oh, yummy. What am I going to have?
So we have the pork dumpling, and this one is sweet rice pork dumpling, and we have the barbecue pork ball and shrimp dumpling, and this one is
What is that one?
shrimp dumpling, but this one we have peas, and this one is the shrimp dumpling, only shrimp dumpling.
Okay. Yes, I want a custard cake. Those are my favorite. I asked about them the other day. That's a fake egg tart, and it looks delicious. Oh, yeah, I have to have it. All right, I'm going to do the char siu bao.
The char siu bao is this one.
And then the siu mai. And What is this one again?
This one is the, you mean this one?
Yeah.
This one is the pork.
Pan fried pork dumpling.
Oh, then yes, let's do that. Yes. There we go. Well, that's a wonderful start.
You want some spicy sauce also?
Yes, some spicy sauce. And to drink, I'd like tea, please.
Hot tea?
Yes, hot tea.
Okay, this is the sauce for that.
After all, dim sum is all about hot tea, isn't it? That's why they started it.
2個鐘兩個鐘.
What do you have a specialty like a
We have Thai tea.
or no? I mean a hot tea, other than just the regular green
No,
tea.
we have the jasmine, the oolong, the foley.
What do you recommend with the dim sum? The jasmine or the oolong?
For me, I like the foley better.
Then let's do that.
Okay.
After all, dim sum was all about tea. That's what it was
Yeah,
about.
foley is much more stronger. It's
Okay,
better
good.
to help you to digest that.
Oh, I'll need help to digest all this.
Right, okay,
Thank you. Look at this feast in front of me of shumai, barbecue pork roll, pan fried, probably barbecue pork. Remember, it's all vegan, and then the egg tart, and it's all vegan. And this is my point. This is why I brought you here today. You know, for me, if you'd have told me when I became a vegan that I could once, let me set this up because I wanna eat. If you had told me that, you know, when I became a vegan, I would be able to eat dim sum again, I would have said, how? There was no one doing it. There was simply no one doing the vegan dim sum. And it took Chef Kenny over a year here in Las Vegas to open the vegan dim sum. And, oh, yeah, I better have those. Oh, look at those. Oh, my gosh. I'll be taking stuff home today, Chef Kenny. Say hi to everybody.
Hello, I am Chef Kenny.
Oh, my God.
I'm making a marvelous vegan dim sum.
Yes, you are making a marvelous vegan dim. Every day you're doing it.
Oh, yes.
It took a long time to get it open.
Oh, yes, because vegan dim sum is very hard to make.
Vegan dim sum's hard to make, yes.
That's why you don't see any vegan dim sum out there.
Well, that's what I was wondering about the fake egg. How are you going to do that? Because you always amaze me with how you do things, you know?
The egg custard without egg.
So how long does it take to do all this? Like, what time in the morning do you start all this?
We start like 7 o'clock. So every day we started at 7 o'clock.
And you don't open till, that's 5 hours.
Yes.
Wow.
Everything is made fresh.
Right. And how long did it take you to design it? Because there's no template, right? There's no one really doing vegan dim sum. This is the only place I know in Las Vegas.
Well, it took me about at least 2 years
2 years to develop it?
to develop that.
Well, I ate here on opening day, and I came back today because I wanted to try different things.
You know, a lot of people ask me, the chef, vegan dim sum is hard to make, right?
Yes.
Why you want to do it?
Yes, why?
Because I want to do it for all vegans. They miss it.
Yes, I was just saying on the video how 4 years ago when I became a
They
vegan,
say that, chef, and after I turned it to vegan, I miss the dim sum. Can you create
so you did
one?
this for you too, for having dim sum for you too.
Yes, this is good, yeah.
Because you're a vegan, right?
Yes.
It'd be a shame if you weren't. Well, thank you for all of this.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, it's so good. You have to see this roll, this sparkling bun, and you rip it open, and there's deliciousness inside. See, oh, but being a vegan is so boring. Yeah, oh, you give up so much. I know. I mean, it's terrible, isn't it? Now I have some pu'er tea, which is delicious. And since dim sum is traditionally tea and, you know, small snacks and often desserts, I've been missing the egg tart dim sum. The other day when I came, they didn't have this. So here we go. This is the true test. It's supposed to be like an egg custard, but we don't do eggs, so let's see. Oh, he's done it. He's done it. This is the most delicious custard I've ever had, and there's not an egg in it. No butter, nothing. Well, at least it's vegan. There could be vegan egg, there could be vegan butter, because there are such things, you know. Oh my God, this is so good. Oh my God, this little custard egg tart, which is vegan, all of it. The planet needs us to do it, and you need to do it, because this is, you know, the other day I told my friend, she kept saying, are you going for vegan food? And I said, you got to stop making that distinction. I'm just going for food. Food is food. And if food is good, then I'm just going for good food. And that's what y'all need to stop making the distinction. Stop acting like going vegan is like you're doing something special. You're not. You're just getting a plant-based diet. You know, it's not like that's abnormal or anything. Good is good. Food is food. You know? Doesn't that translate to everything in life? Just get down to basics. Get to the bottom of it. This is good food. Period. This is good tea. It's not vegan tea. It's tea. Delicious. Oh my God, I'm in heaven here. There it is at its simplest. Dim sum. Open heart. And tea. That's how it started. Tea and some finger food. All of that, including tea, $31. Here you go. There you go. Thank you. Oh, right there. Big hearted.
Thank you.
We are in the shade. We are in the shade because we are in the West, and the West is suffering a heat wave as the East gets hit by a hurricane or tropical storm. Right now in Las Vegas, it is 111 degrees. Tomorrow it's going to be 115. There are parts of the valley estimated to be at 120. For those of you that say, oh, but Karel, it's a dry heat. Well, what are those up there, honey? Those are clouds. They're everywhere. So it's not a dry heat. It's very muggy, very hot. This is very unusual weather. But the dim sum was worth it. But I have to tell you, it's almost like you have to weigh whether or not you want to risk going out in this heat, because there are risks. I mean, I parked up with a motorcycle. I can park in places cars can't. If I left my bike in this heat, even with a cover, I wouldn't be able to touch it. There's no way. So there really are risks to coming out in this heat. Physical danger, exertion, dehydration, burning. Inside these cars right here, right now, honey, it could be over 200 degrees. Ain't no lie. Well, the dim sum was great. Ember's just chilling. I'm gonna go and finish the show. See, we are parked up under here. There's Miss Ember in the back in her thing. And for those of you that ask, yes, she is. This morning she was on the news here, 8 News Now, 8 Action News Las Vegas. They were doing a thing on pets who travel. And honey, Miss Ember, are you a pet that travels? You are, aren't you? You're a little girl that she is a little girl that travels. Watch, if I go over here, she'll turn the other way. She's a camera bug. Look at that. That's a girl who travels right there. That's a girl who travels. Both of our allergies are acting up. That's another thing happening right now out here in the desert. So we gonna get home out of this heat. Okay, great. Wasn't that fun? That was good fun. And I hope if you come to Vegas, you go check them out. And I hope in your area, if you don't want to become a plant-based eater at home right away, find some plant-based restaurants and start going and eat there and get acclimated to the food, because they're popping up in every city, and you really need to go. Okay. Now let's talk about the frog in the pot. As I sit here right now in Las Vegas, Nevada, it is 112 degrees. On my way home from Chef Kenny, the thermostat on my bike went to 114 degrees. When I got on my bike, because it was sitting outside in the sun, the thermostat said 121 degrees. The West Coast just went through an enormous heat spell that killed hundreds of people, and it's about to go through another. They just reported on Lake Mead today it has dropped even more, and they've had to decrease the power coming out of Hoover Dam. Okay, so and in Florida, of course, there's a storm hitting. There's a condo that collapsed, and now they're finding lots of bodies, as we know that all of those 150 plus people are dead. There is a parable, not a parable, this is a fact, a scientific fact. And it's always one that I hate that someone had to actually figure it out, meaning some frog died. But you may have heard this, you may have not. It is true. If you take a pot of boiling water and you throw a frog in it, not that you should, the frog is going to do everything it can to get out of that water before it dies. Okay? However, if you take a pot of cold water and put a frog in it and put it on the stove and turn on the gas, as the temperature slowly rises, the frog will stay in the pot and he will boil. He will not jump out when it gets too hot. And so basically, if you put the frog in the pot when the water's cool and turn up the heat, it will die. It'll stay there and it'll boil. We are the frog. The planet is the pot. And we as a culture and as a people have ignored all the things going on around us. We know they're happening. The frog knows it's in a pot. It probably, can sense the temperature change, but it doesn't, do anything about it. And that's us. Now, I'm not just talking about the heat and the oppression of the heat. And heat is oppressive. I am depressed right now. And I mean that. Summer in Vegas depresses me because it just gets too hot to go outside. And it's not a dry heat anymore. There's clouds in the sky right now with moisture. Our humidity outside is probably 10, 12, 15%. And that doesn't sound like much, but when it's 120, 110, that's a lot. Okay? But it's not just climate change that we have sat in the pot. How many of you are in a relationship and the heat has been turned up? Meaning the arguments are they're coming more and more frequently, the anger, the distrust. Whether that's with a friend or a lover or a husband or a wife or a brother or a sister, you have watched the relationship for the longest time just deteriorate, but you don't do anything about it. You stay in the pot. And it never ends well when you stay in the pot. You boil, you cook. I guess it ends well for the person poaching you, but it does not end well for you. We have let the thermostat of life, not just the planet, quite literally the thermostat of the planet, but the thermostat of life has been cranked on high under the pot that we're in, and we haven't jumped out. And subsequently, we're poaching. Look at the thermostat of life when it comes to politics. In my 58 years on planet Earth, we have sat here and watched it get worse and worse and worse. Worse people being elected, worse overtaking by corporate America, all of it. We've sat here and watched it go from, I don't want to say somewhat respectable, but we've sat here and watched it go from somewhat functioning to a completely broken government filled with so many traitors and seditionists and corporatists that they can't even punish what happened on January 6th. Open, filmed, armed sedition, insurrection, and treason. They can't even get around to dealing. That should have been over on January 30th. Every senator should have been kicked out by then. Every congressperson that voted against Joe Biden's certification because that was lawful, not because it was a Democrat or not. No. Every legal challenge to the election was thrown out, even by Trump judges. Joe Biden won the election, period. There's just no debate there, nothing. And anyone that was in Congress that didn't see it that way should have been expelled, thrown out. Any person like Mitch McConnell that says their main mission is to shut down the administration that they're working in should be thrown out. We have allowed counterproductive politicians to prosper and grow so that Washington is now a cesspool of boiling frogs. And we're the ones that are poaching for it. We're the ones dying. The billionaires have gotten so rich, they have started their own space race. Everyone but Bill Gates that's rich is shooting themselves into space. And Bill would do it, but he's got that divorce coming, so he didn't want to have to give her half the rocket. So, Richard Branson, Elon Musk, the Bezoses, the Bezai, because he and his brother are going. So you've got people so wealthy on this planet that they can shoot themselves personally, not with NASA. They personally are shooting themselves into space. And just this morning, I had to deal with homeless after homeless at the park. And when I say deal with, I mean helping them get to cooling, helping them find places on my phone, cooling centers. Because I asked them, do you know where to go today? Do you know where there's a cooling center? No, they kicked us out of the library. Well, okay, here's one. So we have sat around in that pot. And even though the pilot was cranked up with Reagan and Ralph Reed and Oh, all the things that turned up the gas. I can tell you all the things in my lifetime that turned up the, quote, political gas. But we sat here and we let it happen. And now the pot is boiling and we didn't jump out. We're stuck in it. We're stuck in this boiling cesspool of a pot that we call a country. We watched white supremacy and bigotry. It's not homophobia, homo-hatred. I hate that they call it homophobia. They call it racism if you're white against black, black against brown, whatever. But if you're anti-gay, they call you a homophobe. You're not afraid of gays. You're an asshole. You hate them. You're homo-ignorant. You're a homo-hater, but you're not a homophobe. You're not afraid of gays. In any event, we sat and watched that just grow and grow and grow. What did we do? We didn't jump out of the pot. And now look at the mess we're in. With every problem, we watched our public schools go down, down, down. All of us did. We talked about it. We knew it was happening. We knew the gas was on. We knew the water was going to boil, but we sat in the frickin' pot. We've done it on and on and on and on and on and on. Don't stop, y'all. A hip hop, y'all. We've done it. And I don't know what to do. I don't think we can get out of the pot. I am not convinced that we as a species will be here in 200 years en masse, meaning lots of people. I am not convinced. I think we have about 2 generations left before we're just little pockets of individuals. First of all, our planet is turning against us. There's going to be nowhere on planet Earth you can go and escape 100-degree heat. I know, I just read that today. That we are not adequately preparing our society for how hot our planet's getting. Once again, the gas has been turned up. We know the ozone is gone. We know all of this stuff. The gas has been literally turned up, and we will sit here and literally boil on the face of this planet instead of jumping out of the pot, which would mean doing things differently. Jumping out of the pot for our circumstance means changing the way that we do things. You know, if the frog jumped out of the hot water because he knew it was getting hotter, he'd live. We know the water is getting hotter, quite literally. We know we know all of it. It's like I go back to January 6th. We know it was armed. You know, I keep seeing these politicians on MSNBC. We've got to have meetings and committees so we can get to the bottom of what happened and know who did what. We already know, you freaking moron. We watched it all unfold live. You have the text messages, the tweets, the phone calls. You know who did it. Donald Trump did it. Josh Hawley did it. Ted Cruz, Lauren Boebert, on and on. Marjorie Taylor Greene. They did it. Anyone that voted against Biden's certification did it. Okay, period. And the rest of them are on tape. There needn't be a commission. There needs to be action. The frog doesn't act when it's in the pot. That's the problem. It doesn't act. It sits there, the water boils, it dies. It doesn't act. We are the frog because we're not acting. Oh, acting, to be in the theater. The theater. No, not that way. Not that kind of acting. The theater. We are not acting. We watch the temperature outside rise, so every summer gets worse and worse. California is burning up again, and it's gonna. Every people are fleeing that state for a reason. You know, because it's becoming unmanageable, unlivable. In parts, other parts are beautiful and great, but parts of California are becoming uninhabitable. Parts of the United States are becoming uninhabitable. But we don't move. We don't move the cities. We don't move the people. We don't do anything. We don't act. We are the frog. We sit. Some of us act. Some of us jump out of the pot. Some of us jump up to the brim of the pot and try to throw ropes down for the other, but the frog won't take it. You see what I'm saying? There are those of us that get up to the top of the pot. We throw the ropes down, say, frog, here, take the rope. You're going to boil. You're going to die. Come on, get out the pot. And the frog sits there, ribbit, Like the frog in that Warner Brothers commercial that dances and sings, but then whenever anyone else looks at it, just ribbit. Meanwhile, when no one's watching, hello, my honey, hello, my baby, hello, my ragtime gal. That frog was so popular, he became the WB network. Seriously, he was their logo. So so even if we are the ones that take the action, we try to get the frogs out of the pot and they won't come. Like me, I try to convince you through example and through adventures that plant-based eating is worth a try. It works on maybe 1 out of 10 of you. And you do it. You email me at contact@reallykarel.com. You leave the comments down below on YouTube here at youtube.com/reallykarel. You social media me at reallykarel on Instagram or reallykarel on Twitter. And you say, I've done it, Karel. I've changed my life. I've gone plant-based. I've lost weight. I'm healthier. About 1 out of 10 of you. The rest, you're the frogs. I want to take a moment here at the end of the show and say a couple things to the listeners. First of all, to you Patreon subscribers, you know I love you, and it's patreon.com/Karel, Kareo. Second of all, we found out that we are in the top 100 podcast in Norway. I have no idea why. We have signed up to several podcast monitoring companies to see where we rank. We are out of 60,000 podcasts, out of 20,000 available at the iTunes store, we're in the top 200 on iTunes. We're in the top 200 on Spotify. We're in the top 200 in Norway. We're in the top 200 in Amsterdam. We're in the top 200 in Ireland. And so I would just like to say that, I'm here in my apartment in Las Vegas in my condo, and I really just try to tell you my life so you can learn about it in your life. And I never realized that I really am touching all parts of the globe. Do you feel me touching your globe? Do you feel me grabbing your globe? That there are people listening to this all over the world. And the universality of that is that we're all the frogs. We're all in the pot. I don't care what country you're in now. Because even if like Germany or Norway or other countries are doing so much better than America, the pot they're in is planet Earth. And there's no escaping that, even if you're wealthy. We believe we found microbial life on a moon of Saturn, I believe. Probably Io. Or a moon of Jupiter, No, I think it's a moon of... I'll have to check. We just believe we found microbial life or the makings of microbial life on the moon of either Jupiter or Saturn. All of which I've looked at through my telescope. They're moons. Oh, sure, there's life out there. Of course there is. Of course there is. So I would just like to say to all of you that listen, whether you're in the San Francisco Bay Area and listen to me because of KGO Radio, whether you're in the LA Long Beach area and listen to me because of KFI, or you heard that I was from the LBC. Whether you're here in Las Vegas and you listen to me because I'm sitting over here on Buffalo and Flamingo and you're like, that Queen's right around the corner. Whether you're in Norway, Ireland, wherever you might be, I just want you to know that I am so honored that you spend the time with me. You have reviewed me on iTunes, and you're welcome to review the show, but there's so many great reviews that I never read until yesterday. So many of you, say you never know where his rants are going to go, but they're always interesting. Or he's the voice in my head that I should listen to, but I don't. I've read your reviews. I'm so honored and flattered that you all take the time out every day. Even the 200 of you that watch the video on YouTube. Only 200 a day do at YouTube. I don't know why my demographic is not a YouTube. For adults. Adults don't use YouTube. That's just the truth. All of it, Steph Miller, all of us. None of us have huge YouTube, we don't get millions of views. Tom Hartman doesn't get millions of views. Or, even... the average person doesn't get millions of views on YouTube unless you're 15 and, whatever. It's other 15-year-olds. Because adults, people over 40, really don't watch YouTube. It's not, you've got other options. All right. I am Karel, of course, and it's an honor and a privilege each and every day to come here and be with you. I want us to not be the frog. I don't know how to make us not frogs anymore. I really don't. I wish I had the solution, but it takes action. To not, see, the frog doesn't act. So in order for you in your life to not be the frog in the pot, no matter what situation you're in, if you feel the heat turn up, if you sense it, if you know where this situation is going, don't go with it. Act. Act before the water boils. Solve a problem before it becomes a crisis. See what I'm saying? There's all these problems in your life that if you solved them now, they wouldn't become the boiling water crisis. But we don't. Solve the problems before they become a crisis. And then if you get anything else from today's show, it is expand your palate. Start finding plant-based restaurants like Chef Kenny in your neighborhood. And start going and experiencing new food and new culture, because you will find that it's delicious. And I've said this 1,000 times, we got to stop making so many distinctions. We're not Italo-American, gay American, African American. We're Americans. We're Americans first. And it's not vegan food. It's food first. So is it good food? Yes. Then who cares that it's vegan? That's my point to you. So A, don't be the frog. Act before the problem becomes boiling. And number 2, stop putting distinctions in front of your food. Go eat plant-based food at least once a week and report back to me about how you like it. Okay? I am Karel. You be who you want to be, so long as do you all see, I have to do several things at once here. So sorry if it looks like I'm looking away. It's because I got to do a couple things at once here. I'm my own what do you call it? I'm my own best friend. I'm my own engineer. I am Karel. Be who you want to be, so I'll not hurt anybody. Much love to you. Oh, I got to tell you, today here in Las Vegas on Channel 8 News Now, Ember and I were interviewed about her being a traveling dog, because she's on the motorcycle with me and she travels everywhere with me. So we were interviewed about Ember being a traveling dog. My little girl was a star today. If I can find that video from 8 News Now online anywhere, I will post it. All right, be who you want to be. So don't hurt anybody. We'll be back on Friday. Until then, try to stay cool if you're in the West, because the heat is back on, honey. And don't be the frog. Act. Get out the pot.
Make your device a whole lot smarter. Get the Karel Cast app free at the App Store of your choice now.